You're going live?
Sorry?
You're live.
You're live?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. At this time, we will reconvene the regular meeting of the Suffern Central Board of Education for Tuesday, October 20th, 2020. Let the record reflect that all board members are present, both live and virtual. Please rise to the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to ask everybody to please just remain standing for a moment of silence for Ryan O'Donnell. Thank you. Okay, we have a student report for tonight.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I'm Melissa Bauer. So to start, I'm just going to touch upon some of the things that I brought up from last week. So for History Honor Society, we are currently in the process of developing our Civics Day project, which is very exciting, not only for us, but for the elementary students as well. We've been working in teams to come up with fun activities to engage these students and get them involved in election type activities. Additionally, USO, or student body government, has been working extremely hard to plan virtual events to bring the students together. And so we've been looking so that they have something to look forward to, and we've been putting
whatever, and that's it. But he thinks it's an experience because he doesn't know anything.
Right.
To him, he's at least
away.
and he's
exactly.
not in my basement doing his classes,
Right.
so he thinks he's having a freshman year, so I'm not telling him any different.
Don't let his older siblings tell him.
No, because some of them had real good freshman years, let me tell you, when you have that many, but he's enjoying it because it's kind of, training wheel independence. He absolutely likes it.
Okay.
Okay.
I think we're almost there. It was in the middle of live streaming. Let's see if you catch yourself with this. Can we do a sound check?
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Good.
Let's see, make sure that we're on. Yes, we're live
We're
again.
live now?
Yep.
Okay.
We can restart.
We're going to restart the student report.
Yes.
Okay.
Ready again.
Okay. So hi, everyone. I'm Melissa Bauer. To start, I'm just going to expand upon some of the things I brought up from last week. So for History Honor Society, we are currently in the process of developing our Civics Day projects, which is very exciting for the elementary students. We've been working in teams to come up with fun activities to engage them in election type activities. Additionally, our USO student body government has been working extremely hard to plan virtual events for the students in our school. We've been brainstorming ideas for a virtual Spirit Week to give students something to look forward to. And we've also been putting together our club video to recruit new members for our first general meeting next Wednesday. Lastly, our seniors in Cambridge will be holding virtual events to present our research topics for the year. Our teacher, Mr. Kaplan, has sent out an email to Suffern High School teachers and administrators, inviting them to come watch the seniors introduce their research. This will be starting virtually next Wednesday, so if anyone has any questions, please contact Mr. Kaplan.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Sophia Kaja. So just to touch upon what Melissa said and some extra information. This past Saturday, juniors and sophomores were able to take their PSAT exam. And this Saturday, there will be an ACT exam at the high school. And additionally, school photos for the high schoolers will take place Thursday and Friday this week, along with senior portraits. They've also given the opportunity for remote students to take their pictures after school, which accommodates for both the people who are hybrid and fully online. And the Suffern High School Clubs and Activities created a club expo video for underclassmen to learn more about the various clubs at Suffern High School that they can join. Fall sports have started, and soccer and other sports I know have had their senior games or will have their senior games soon. And overall, virtual learning is going really well, and the teachers have adjusted to it. And both the hybrid model and people who are at home, it's just going really well. So thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, girls. Go Downies. Good job.
Thank you.
All right. Eric, you don't have to do it a third time, right?
No, just
Okay.
twice.
All right. All right, thank you both. Are they going right? Okay. All right. 1.09 minutes of the regular meeting for October 6th, 2020. Do I have a motion? Move. Mr. McKenzie, is there a second? Second. Dr. Nick Pond. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against? Any abstentions? Okay. 1.10 acting superintendent comments.
I'm going to start by introducing Donna Lee Berard, our external auditor, who will share some information about this year's financial statements. Welcome, Donna Lee.
Turn the speaker on. So I want to introduce myself again. I'm Donna Lee Berard. I'm partner with Berard & Associates. We performed your audit for the June 30, 2020 year that has just passed. I'm just going to give you a brief summary of some of the highlights today. We have gone over the report in detail with the finance, the audit committee already. And then there is full copies available. I think the board members have them, but I think anybody can get them from the office. The full report contains a lot of different components, including financial statements on the accrual GASB basis, as well as some summary management discussion and analysis, as well as a lot of footnotes and details that I'm not going to bore you with tonight, since we have looked at those in detail. Now I'm going to focus mostly on the fund accounting basis, which is the basis that is compared to your budget, which is what the taxpayers have approved and is really most important to you as of right now. So I don't think you even really need to see the financials. I'm just going to read off key things. For those that do have the report, I will just announce what page I'm looking at as I go through it. On page 1 and 2 is our actual audit opinion. And in that audit opinion, it says what you want to say, which would be an unmodified opinion. It says that, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects the financial position of all your activities of the Suffern Central School District as of June 30, 2020. So that would be the proper audit report that we want to see this year. The most financial numbers that are of most importance is start on looking on page 51. This is the budget to actual of your general operating fund compared. So we're actually looking at your final budget compared to the actual. And this page is specifically related to revenues. And we look at about the fourth line from the bottom. What we're showing here is your final budgeted revenue amount for the year was $136,129,000. Your actual revenues came in at $136,274,000, are actually almost identical at $145,000 more than what you had budgeted on those actual amounts. Not any one particular line item. I think there's a few things that came in and out that were differences, but overall you're like right on target for the revenue. On the next page, which is page 52, This gives a summary of the expenditures, again, showing the budget compared to actual with then some encumbrances and a variance column. The number that I'm going to focus on is the last line item, the other total expenditures and other uses. The total final budget for the year was $145,949,000. The actual expenses were $136,207,000. We also have some encumbrances, which are amounts that were approved in the 1920 year, but actually will not be incurred until the subsequent year, either due to general timing or COVID or whatever may have happened during this particular year. There's about 6.4 million of those expenditures that will be able to be used in the subsequent year. When we account for the encumbrances, you're about $3.3 million less in expenses than what you had budgeted in the final budget. This does include some operating transfers. The third line from the bottom in the middle of 4.4 million. These are the general fund support capital projects and the special aid projects that you had approved during the course of the year. What is most interesting here when we look at this is that total revenue. If we were to look at that total revenue on page 51, that 136,274,000 compared it to the actual expenses for the year in the general fund of 136,204,000. You're actually almost spot on break even. You've got about a $7,000 revenue exceeding expenses, but it's really almost exactly identical in terms of your fund balance, which is just going to lead me into the next page I want to take a peek at, which is going to be on page 17. This page gives us your balance sheet. This is basically the assets you owned, the liabilities you owed, and the net difference is the fund balance that you had. It shows all the major funds here, the special ed, lunch, debt service, capital project. You can see are all very small in terms of activities. There's usually just some cash here or maybe some due froms and some remaining small amount of fund balances. The main thing here to look at is that general fund. You ended the year with assets, the total assets of $56,475,000. Your total liabilities that you owed were $12,540,000. So your net fund balance, second line from the bottom, is $43,934,000. That number is $70,000 more than the last year because that's that net revenue exceeding expenditures that you had for the year. What we show on here is on this net fund balance is we want to show the readers why you had that money and what it's set aside for. And the first groupings of these is the restricted funds that have been set aside for a restricted purpose. You have potential tax certiorari's, as well as the retirement reserves and benefit reserves. The second group, assigned to. These are all the encumbrances. That's that 6.4 million I mentioned before of expenses that were approved in the June 2020 budget, but actually will not be expended until the following year. So those will roll forward. Those you're assigned to. And when you did your budget for June of 21, you carved off $3,100,000 of the reserve used to balance that budget, leaving your unassigned balance of 5.7 million, which is about 4% of the total expenses. That's pretty much the key highlights of the financials. I'm just going to mention here, we did put in a note this year regarding COVID, only to say that for the June 2020 year, although there was some cost savings, there was also some revenue reductions, and they seemed to somewhat balance out. There was not a material impact on the June 2020. What we're not really sure, and what is put in here as a kind of open-ended comment, is we're not sure what impact it may have on you for June of 21. The state has, as of now, withheld 20% of your of your revenues in anticipation of waiting for some federal funding. Again, that's all on hold and it's very open-ended. You know, the worst case scenario of management is that there might be a $4 to $5 million loss that you would need to fund through reserves. And that's one of the reasons that you maintain those reserves you were just looking at on the previous page. The only other additional information I wanted to share with the board is, in addition to the financial statement audit, we also did the federal audit, which is tacked to the end of these reports. You have to do a compliance audit for your federal funds. The special ed fund was the fund selected this year. We had no findings. If you go through there, you'll see that we had no findings, another unqualified opinion. We also did a report on the extra classroom, which basically just analyzes the ins and outs of the various extra classroom funds. We also did issue a management letter. We're just pleased to state that we really have very little minor comments at all on the district, that we had the 3 minor comments that are basically already being worked on. And we just wanted to thank the accounting staff for all their hard work. It was particularly hard this year with COVID and doing a lot more work remotely and, back and forth. And everybody was really cooperative and helpful and timely. And we really just can't thank them enough for making this a successful audit. Does anybody have any questions?
Yes, Donnelly, you spoke about the reserves being strong, but are we possibly in a position that we could be delving into those reserves for another $5 million?
Possibly. If COVID goes in the way,
Right.
in the worst case scenario, that's management's outside interpretation at this point in time, that you may need to dip into these reserves by an extra $4 to $5 million if you don't get all the state aid that we're hoping will futurely be paid back to you.
Okay, thank you, Donnelly.
Yeah.
But we also have in that reserve for transportation, 2.7 million that we didn't have before. And that's for March through June transportation that we're still waiting from New York State to find out what's going to happen with that, because it's actually transportation that we didn't use. So that's 2.7 that we're actually waiting to hear on. So that might go to the bottom line. Also, just
Yep.
and then also just to mention about the tertiaries, it actually went up. I mean, like in and out, it still went up $300,000 compared to what we had last year. And it's still 85% of what we think the tertiaries are. So that's something for the board to think about how much we're holding for certs for future years. But I have to say, for the school district business office to have hardly any comments from outside auditors is just amazing. So for Steve and for Teresa and everybody in that office, I've been in accounting offices and I've been an outside auditor, and to have hardly any comments is just amazing. So kudos to the business office. It's just an amazing accomplishment. So really good job.
Steve, thank you, and thank you, staff. Very nice, Melissa.
Yeah. Thank you, Donnelly.
Great job, guys. Thank you for keeping us financially secure.
Good. And we do, just to remind that, I'm going to sign off here, but just a reminder that you do need to approve this audit so that we can get them uploaded to the appropriate federal authorities and whoever we need to get that off to. Okay?
Before Donnelly signs off, does anybody have any questions, any other questions for her?
Absolutely. Anybody who wants to can contact me via phone or email, whatever, where the office has all my contact information, well as it should be in the audit letter here on the report. If you need to get a hold of me, for sure, anybody can ask anything that comes to mind. That'd be fine.
Great. Thank you so much, Donnelly.
You're welcome. Have a good evening.
Likewise.
Thank you, Donnelly. I do have another item in my comments. I'll be much briefer. This week is, as designated by the New York State School Boards Association, this week is School Board Recognition Week. So I would like to take a moment to acknowledge and recognize our school board members. I have a lovely little certificate here that talks about School Board Recognition Week, and I have one for each of you. So those of you who are here in person,
Thank you.
I will give you yours. And those of you who are at home,
Are you gonna make them pick theirs up in person?
no, I'm going to send them home to them. I will have those sent to their houses. And I just want to say, in light of School Board Recognition Week, that, we're blessed to have a school board that is really committed to our community. All of our school board members take their role very seriously, very passionately. When there is disagreement, it's not for want of caring and commitment. And so I thank you all for the commitment you make. I remind everyone that you are all volunteers, giving up your own time, really available to the community 24/7. I know you've all gotten late night phone calls and early morning emails, and I really appreciate your commitment and caring. And as a community, we are very lucky to have you. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee.
I'm sure we all appreciate that. And I'll just say, my gratitude to my fellow board members for, being able to work with the six of you every couple of weeks, even though we do more, than every 2 weeks. There's emails and conversations, but I'm lucky to have the six of you as colleagues. So I just want to say thank you. Okay. 1.11 public participation. We have nobody here in person. Heather, I don't know if you have any public participation for this portion?
I don't.
Do not? Okay. We'll close that portion. We'll go to action items. So before we move into action items, we are going to make a motion to add or to walk on an action item for tonight's agenda. I guess I need, is there a first to amend the agenda to add the action item? Moved. Mr. McKenzie. Is there a second?
Second.
Dr. Nick Pond. I think the video delay, Chris gets it before you guys because he's here.
Yeah.
Okay, so all those in favor of opening the action items to add an agenda item signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, all those against? Okay, any abstentions? Okay. So then I would make a motion to add, this would be action item 2.18, which would be a resolution to develop an RFP, or request for proposals, for superintendent search firms. So the resolution will read as such: be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby authorizes the business office to develop and issue a request for proposals, RFP, to superintendent search firms in consultation with the school attorney. Okay, so that will be action item 2.18. Okay. So, having said that, do we have any items to pull from action items that would not be part of the consent
That's a
agenda?
yes, Eric. Excuse me.
Sorry.
Please admit him.
Okay, do we have any action items to pull from a consent agenda?
Matt, I have 2.04.
2.04. Okay. Any others?
I'll pull 2.18, please.
Okay. 2.18. Any others?
Just to be clear, none of the executive items are on the agenda except for 2.18, correct?
That is correct.
Thank you. No, so I'm good. I don't want to pull anything.
Okay. So then let's go forward with the consent agenda. This will be a consent agenda for action items 2.01 through 2.03, 2.05 through 2.17.
Are you looking for a moved?
No, I was just writing a note down. Okay, now I'll take a motion. Move. Mr. McKenzie, second.
Second.
Mr. Shapiro. I think Chris let you have that one.
Thank you, Chris.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those against? Any abstentions? Okay, 2.04, this is the application for merger of the girls' ice hockey. Do I have a motion? Move. Mr. McKenzie, second. Dr. Nickon, discussion.
I just pulled this, really looking for more information. I don't know if we can shed some light on this. I just thought it was a very interesting item, and I was just looking to get some more information on it.
Sure, this is really exciting. So for a couple of years around Rockland County, there's been talk about having a girls' ice hockey team. None of the individual districts have enough girls to field their own team. So the conversation is about a merger, which would allow all of the school districts listed, which I think is all but 2 of the districts in the county. Girls would participate on the team as a team, like a Rockland County type team. Throughout the state, there are other girls hockey teams, and many of them are merged teams, as are some of the boys teams also merged. It's a wonderful opportunity for our girls. And being a hockey school district, it's a great opportunity. At this stage, really the vote is just on voting to approve the board president signing the application. At that point, there will be some coaches who will likely not be Suffern. They'll be from another district, and you will then again vote on those coaches. We also don't know where hockey is in terms of COVID, but the hope is let's get the ball rolling and let's try and make this happen.
Thank you. Okay. Anything else? No, good. Any other questions, comments?
I just want to say, I think it's an exciting venture into something that's very good, for the girls in the area really had nowhere to play. And I think this is a really, really good outlet for these kids that never had this opportunity before, because there's girls that have already graduated that didn't have this opportunity. So I look forward to this moving along and really getting the support.
Yep. All right. So 2.04, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against? Any abstentions? Okay, 2.18, this is the new action item for the RFP. Do I have a motion? Move. Mr. McKenzie, second.
Second.
Mr. Cairns, discussion.
Yeah, I don't have anything to say about it. I just want to be able to vote separately.
Okay. Okay, anybody else have any comments?
I'm sorry?
Well, I was asking if anybody else had any comments.
No.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those against?
Nay.
Mr. Donnelly? Any abstentions? Okay. All right, 3.01, District Communications and Public Relations presentation.
Hello.
So this is
Hey, Jenny.
Jenny.
Hi, Jenny.
Hello?
Hello. All right, so I need to share my screen, Eric. Awesome. Okay. All right. So I am here with Director of Communications for Rockland BOE, Scott Scotto.
Good to see you again, Scott.
Thank you. Hope everybody's well.
Thank you.
So it has been about a year since we've been here. Crazy, believe it or not. So we just wanted to give a very brief update today, talking about kind of where we were last year at this time and where we are now. These are the same goals that we had given to you last year. Pretty much we're on the same track. Promoting Suffern Central as a premier school district, showcasing our students, staff, and programs, reaching all community members by expanding our communications efforts. We want to reach external audience as well outside of our district, and really deliver consistency of message. None of that has really changed. Do you have anything to add, Scott?
No, waiting for the next couple of slides.
Okay. So here we are, right? So we started 1920 school year, a really great start. We worked really hard last year to kind of change and turn around the image that was, a little lost for a little while in our district, and really through concise messaging and transparent communications and some really targeted programming and campaigns, we did a really good job of kind of shifting the narrative in the district and really showcasing all of the amazing things that make us unique and, I might say, the best in the county. So, that included our digital newsletter that went out once a month, our social media videos. We were working on a bunch of videos for the year, and targeted communications, really kind of highlighting all of these special programs. And then we all know what happened in March. We were shut down, right? So we went from this beautiful list of all these awesome things that we could showcase, we could video, we could take pictures of, to basically living in a crisis communications platform, where the narrative was no longer all of the awesome things we're doing in school. Instead, it was delivering the message of COVID, right? Where we were with the shutdown, what it looked like, and health and safety.
I think it's important to note that in Rockland County, Rockland BOCES and all of the school districts that we support, inclusive of Suffern, these three content pillars became very apparent back in March. We have the crisis communications, and it's crisis du jour. It changes every day. The health and safety narrative, which is paramount to restoring and building the confidence in the district. We've got this. We know what we're doing. We can continue to educate and deliver the programs that we're so well known for. And lastly, learning is looking a lot different today. And these three messagings, or these three narratives, constantly go back and forth, and sometimes they'll compete with one another, because it's very tough to showcase learning, whether it's in-person instruction or virtual or hybrid, when we're constantly focusing on another COVID case, or this school is being shut down, or conversely, we have an amazing facility staff, and our transportation teams are doing great work to keep the building safe. So we're constantly doing this balance of crisis and a school shutdown, or a class has been quarantined because of COVID, with still showcasing our mission and our vision, which is to educate and which is to support students. So in Suffern primarily, but on all the districts, we're in this content narrative where there's these three pillars where we're constantly doing this dance between health and safety. We're safe. You have confidence in us. Crisis. We need to close down, or we're doing some kind of a triage with a quarantine. And then, hey, learning today, it's different. It's different. We're still delivering education. Kids are learning. Our staff is being developed. Sports are being played. They're looking a little bit different. Not at all, of course, not across the board, but we're doing what our mandate is, and what the taxpayers and what parents and what the community expects. And to showcase how well Suffern has done that, Suffern uniquely has done that. I'll mention it because I mentioned it to our Rockland BOCES board just last Wednesday. Rockland BOCES and the communications team led by Jenny and Suffern, and our graphic design team and our videography, they've won 4 national and state awards: NYSPRA, which is the New York State School Public Relations Association, and also NSPRA, which is the National School Public Relations Association, won excellence awards for Excelsior and for some of the crisis communications and videos that were produced since the start of the pandemic. Just to show, and no other Rockland County School District has done that. We've won other awards, you know, bronze and silver, but Suffern won the gold. And because the communication was so transparent, and because the communications was so delivered with such a strategy in Spanish, in English, digital, print, video, and that has garnered national recognition. And I think you all should be very proud of that, because it's totally unique, and it is the only school district in Rockland County that has been able to achieve that during the pall of a pandemic. And it's Jenny, and it's our whole team. We now have an 8-person communication staff. You know, runs the gamut from strategy to crisis to marketing and public relations and photography and videography. But you know, everybody has been pulling in the same direction. And of course, Jenny takes the kudos on this one, because it's her essentially it's her linkage to the buildings and the superintendent and the board and the students, which allowed this stuff to take place. So I told our board about it last week. They were thrilled, but Suffern, you guys got the gold star on this one.
Jenny, thank you. Thank you. I knew you were good, but now you're great. Thanks for keeping us going.
Well, you know,
Jenny.
I only deliver the messaging, right?
Yeah, well, you did a good job. Thank you.
To provide that messaging, you know, it's a testament to the district itself for wanting to provide this type of information to the community, to wanting to be transparent, and to wanting to try new things. You know, so one of the new things we did was these YouTube live streams, right? It started with the Board of Ed, and we, you know, took it further and had about 5 last year that were related to this crisis of COVID. And I just put this up here because I like benchmark numbers, and I just always like to see our growth year over year. But really, I want to highlight the square at the bottom. Last year at this time, we had 25 people who subscribed to our YouTube channel. We're now at 1,060. We can now broadcast live stream sports on remote devices because we have more than 1,000 subscribers to our YouTube channel. And if any of you have kids or grandkids, they're not watching television, they're watching YouTube. So people are on there and they're following us. And, you know, we continue to increase our community base and increase the number of people who are getting our message through our social media channels, which are really, besides our website and the Excelsior newsletter that comes out, this is where we disseminate information, not necessarily like our crisis news that goes via email and through our Connect Ed system, but any type of story that we want to talk about or highlight, it's through social media, and you can see, I don't need to read the numbers. One of the biggest jump is Instagram, and that just continues to grow. So as we are working now in this new environment that Scott was talking about, balancing all of those things, we still want to tell the narrative of what's going on in our schools in a new and unique way. So starting this month, we are launching with Lee Weber, Suffern Streams, which it started based out from the crisis COVID information sessions. And because of the response and the amount of views that we were getting and the amount of interaction that we were receiving from different people in our community, including kids who were watching those too, we're going to do a monthly Suffern Streams of conversations with the superintendent and the school community. It'll be live, and we have one next week that I think Lee's going to mention in a little bit, next Tuesday night with some of our students. So that we're hoping will kind of take off and provide another outlet, a way for people to see what's going on in the schools in a more informal, almost like a town hall conversational type way, where people can then ask questions at the end. We are moving forward with continuing and developing and creating more robust outreach program for our ENL population. We're finding that communication works differently a lot of times with Spanish-speaking families. So providing communication and providing our stuff in different languages, and then also we started a communications committee for ENL to really kind of talk about, okay, maybe, how are we best delivering our information, and is there a way we can be better in that community? And then Instagram this year at the administrative retreat, we spoke about Instagram being the place where the students are, and really the younger families, parents are on Instagram, and almost all of our buildings now have Instagram accounts too that are growing and being responded to as well.
Real quickly on the Spanish speaking narrative, I just wanted to tell the board in Suffern, I have had conversations with my boss, Dr. Mary Jean Marsico, and our district superintendent, Dr. Sarah Chauncey, regarding broadening our department that would include additional, it's not translation, it's not translating newsletters into Spanish, but to build an additional several people who are Spanish communications people that could be co-servable, saves the district's money, because you might not need somebody 5 days a week. But this would be a shared service where if there needs to be engagement with a family resource center or a family or teaching technology, there's a Spanish communications person who could come into a district and can work with a particular community. And we're working to grow that service right now. If the districts demand it, then BOCES provides it.
Yeah. So some new goals, some goals we already have, and some goals looking forward to the rest of this year and beyond. We want to maintain our current communication efforts and remain transparent to the best of our ability. We want to continue to showcase the new learning that's happening. And we've really been finding some really awesome stories, and teachers, students, and building administrators have been super open with a lot of the things that are going on. So we've got a lot of great stories to still tell. Learning is happening, as you heard earlier from the student representatives. There's a lot of stuff, really cool stuff that's going on, a lot of new ways of using technology, and a lot of ways of reaching students across buildings. One of our big things last year was passing down the pride, and I love the fact that our high school honor society, history honor society, is doing a virtual civics day in November. So that things like that are amazing and really cool and unique to our district. We continue to find those stories and share them. Another big thing is retaining our community members and students. All right, we want people who live here to stay here. We want people who are in elementary school to continue through and graduate from Suffern High School. So that's a big focus. And then attracting new families to the district. Right, we've been talking about that for years. It was part of our strategic plan in the last 5 years, and there are definitely opportunities for us to continue diving into that population that's untapped, ones that are starting to look for homes here, or moving out of the city because of all of the things that have happened in the last 7 months. So how can we do that? In addition to all of the things we're already doing, we thought what a great opportunity would be to kind of to retain and attract these families is to showcase our schools in a little bit of a different way. So experiencing the great schools in Suffern. So a campaign that's really about Suffern and the schools. Showcasing our town as an amazing place to live because the schools drive that story, right? We have great opportunities with our community members, all of our project-based learning that happened in the last couple of years, working with community partners, and creating a series of short videos that highlight the offerings, narrated by kids, always by kids, like giving that kind of like tug on your heartstrings kind of feeling, showcasing not just the schools, not just the sports, not just the activities, but the town we live in and the houses that are around and where our schools are located around each other. Almost like an aerial view kind of down into the valley, into our little valley here. And working on, showcasing these top learning opportunities that aren't just academic, but all the sports programs, all the extracurriculars we have here, and potentially working through and showcasing a lot of this stuff digitally through avenues we haven't already explored, using, Google AdWords or, showcasing these videos on a home buying site, or on niche.com, which ranks schools all over the place, creating a partnership with them so that when search terms come up, our school is listed. Someone's looking in Rockland County to buy a house, maybe they hear about, they see a video, 15-second video about Suffern schools, something like that. So that we're kind of driving the narrative a little bit differently and reaching people that aren't already in our community, but in a targeted way. In a way that we can actually measure if people are paying attention. Continuing building back up our conversations with local and regional realtors, businesses, community members that own businesses in the area, to share information and see what's going on with them and how we can work together to really, keep Suffern top of mind and showcase its awesomeness.
And Jenny touched on the strategy, but the strategy really is, and I'm sure you've all heard about it more than a dozen times, is this exodus from places like Hoboken or places like Queens or Brooklyn Heights. People getting out of the city, they can now telecommute or they can work from home, but they need to be near mass transit because they might need to go into the city once a week, twice a week. So we look at it as, okay, so we need to be in that peripheral for these people who might say, I'm done with the city. It's a mess. Restaurants are closing. My property values, my apartment values are falling. I want to get out of here and raise my family somewhere else and telecommute. So we feel that by utilizing these avenues, Realtor.com, Zillow, Niche, some of these things, that we can put a real nice little narrative about Suffern in their vista, in their view, and they can say, oh, you know what? Let me check that out. That looks like a nice place. I'll ride up there this weekend. I'll get a zip car and go check it out. Yeah.
So, that and just to continue doing what we're doing and really, this is a great job because a lot of the stories are there already. It's a matter of uncovering them and showcasing all of the awesome things that are happening here. That's really kind of our quick, brief kind of overview. And we wanted to open it up to you guys who maybe have had conversations about this in the past, have any questions or suggestions, and kind of look at beyond what we typically do for you as a service. What else is there? What you're looking at as this year is super unique.
So Jen, how about highlighting some of the students who have gone on to the colleges, the four-year colleges, I remember at RCC, what we did on the side of the buses was dress the students in all of the sweatshirts to the schools that they were going to. And a lot of people don't realize that with RCC, the first student ever accepted from a community college came from RCC, and so did the second one. So, we have all of those things, I think, here. And then after college, you have a number of alumni who have been extremely successful, not only in sports, but also in the theater, science. Some are now working. If I remember, speaking with Phil Teasy about the young lady who was working for NASA and so forth, because those are, I think, some of the things that would really, get young parents to say, wow, there is a future here. It's not only the school, but it provides you to go to other places.
Yeah, I love that idea. I'm going to put it out there right now to whoever's listening. If you're an alumni, if you're an alum of Suffern Central and you have whatever you're doing, reach out to us because that stuff is great. I love to do that. And students that are in four-year schools right now, a lot of them are actually home so that we could do some really unique stuff with them as well. Absolutely, Dawn. Yep. All right.
Anybody have anything else? No, I mean, I think that the job that you do is just amazing. And I wasn't aware of those awards. So, I mean, that's really fantastic. I mean, on the national level, to gain that kind of recognition is really something. You should publicize that.
I had to alert with all due respect, I had to tell my board first, but now that they've been informed, I'm going to start the messaging out because it's typically the way I do it is I alert Mary Jean and Sarah tell our boards and they fan out and then we alert the superintendent. So it'll happen this week.
Great. Scott, thank you for letting us know. And Jenny, great job. It must be from your undergraduate work at a certain university, which has the #1 men's soccer team in the nation at the moment, but we won't go there. But really, terrific.
Thank you.
I just want to say congratulations to Jenny because that was a surprise to me also. I didn't know that. I'll just add, in addition to being such a tremendous expertise in communications, Jenny is such a pleasure to work with and always available. So I really, treasure that relationship we have with Jenny and with Rockland BOCES. They are always there. Scott, you filled in this summer when Jenny was away. You are always there for us when we need us. So when we need you. So thank you very much.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you to the board.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. All right. 4.01 strategic planning update.
Okay, so while Eric's bringing up the slides, I'll just start. So if you recall, early summer, the board approved an agreement to move forward with strategic planning for the next 3 to 5 years. Approved us to work with the DM group, district management group, which is a group that we've worked with before on other matters, and they do strategic planning really throughout the country. So we are now ready to get underway with that work. That work will actually start next week, which is very exciting. So it's only 2 slides now, but you can't see.
I can't see it. I can't read it.
Okay, so it's phase 1 of the work is really gathering information. So there is a small strategic planning steering committee that we have put together that will meet for the first time next Wednesday, have some introductory work with the DM group. And then the bulk of the work this fall will be the DM group conducting their needs assessment. And that has to do with quantitative data And then really big piece of that is stakeholder focus groups and interviews. Those will all take place virtually. And then DM group takes all of that information and puts it together for us so that the steering committee can analyze the data and share the findings. This is the stage for community input. So we're going to do I'm giving sort of a soft rollout right now. We'll have a communication in the next week or so alerting folks, and then be aware that November and December, the focus is on collecting information from the community. So that's where you get your chance to say, I think we should be doing this. I think we should be doing that. I think this should change. I think this should stay the same. This is what's so great about our district. Don't you dare touch it. You can, everyone will have a chance to provide input in that way. Once all that data is collected in December, then the steering committee will work approximately once a month through May to put together a draft of the plan. Once the plan is drafted, it will go back to the community for additional input. So if you go to the next slide, you can see this sort of visually. So that first meeting of the steering committee will take place, as I mentioned, next Wednesday. Then there's about a month and a half of conducting the needs assessment, the focus groups. There may be some surveys, data review, interviews. Then DM group puts all of that together, and the steering committee meets, as I said, approximately once a month. We're looking to have the draft strategic plan sometime in early April. There'll be another opportunity for community feedback, and then a finalized plan by May. So that's an overview, more details to follow. Any questions?
I had a question, but I was letting you finish, and now I forgot.
Do you want to go back to the other slide?
No, I think it had to do just with timing and the committee, so the steering committee is meeting next week. And then is that a virtual or a in-person meeting?
That is a virtual meeting.
It'll be a completely virtual meeting.
So definitely for the fall, all the meetings will be virtual. If there comes an opportunity in the spring, we'll consider in person at that time. But all of the data collection, the focus groups, surveys, interviews will all be done virtually in the fall.
And if I'm not mistaken, all of the steering committee meetings are on Wednesdays.
Yes.
So they kind of have to be virtual because that's the home day.
Right. So we put the steering committee on Wednesday mornings to take a little bit of advantage of the 2-hour delay time. We do have, I didn't mention this. So the committee consists of administrators, teachers, other staff members, a parent, and 2 board members. So that because we have a couple of teachers and other staff members that would need coverage, we're taking advantage of the 2-hour delay time a little bit so that we don't have to cover them the entire 2 hours.
Okay. I think it's very exciting. I think it's the right time, and I think that what's outlined really really shows a lot of community involvement. I think that's extremely important.
Great.
And I definitely see from the timeline that that's going to happen. So, excellent. Anybody have any questions or comments just about this in general? I mean, I know it's very preliminary, but if there's anything, please go ahead. Okay. All right, thank you. 5.01 audit committee update. Melissa, I'll turn this to you as the audit committee chair.
Okay. We met as an audit committee. What date was it? I thought I had it written down. On October 9th. We met at 4:02 p.m. It was Donnelly with Don Cairns, Matt Kern, myself, Lee Weber, Steve Shalika, and we went over the financial statements, said the Pledge of Allegiance, of course. went over the financials, went over OPEB, which is other post-employment benefits, which are worth about $200 million at this point for the school district, which are in the government-wide statements, which are not really within the fund statements. They're in the government-wide statements, so they don't make much sense. But basically, Donnelly went over the financials. The financials look great for the school district. Our financials are strong, and more importantly, the business office does a great job, and there are no big dings for them, so there are no management comments. So usually the auditors come in and they have comments made about the finance department where they say this needs to be fixed and that needs to be fixed, and they basically couldn't say anything. It's really unheard of for anything that they do, whether it's federal money, internal money, and just operations. So I think that says a lot for the people that work in our business office. So when it comes to raises and time for evaluations, I think that is very strong, and it should really be looked at, because I've never heard of that in all of my professional career. So I think that is amazing. So kudos to all of those people in that office. We ended the meeting at 5:14, and it was a great meeting. I think that Donnelly and her team always do a nice job, and she explains everything. So it was great. So that's how the audit committee went. Oh, and there's also another meeting that I'm trying to get for the audit committee, and that's with the internal auditors. So I think that'll be an interesting meeting also, because that internal audit should be happening soon.
Okay, thank you for the update. Were there any questions at this time? Any questions from Melissa about the committee meeting? Okay, thank you, Melissa.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Okay, 6.01 board member comments.
I have a comment.
Okay.
You want me to go first?
Oh yeah, go ahead. Shoot.
Okay. I haven't spoken in so long. I actually wrote an email to my fellow board members, and I think Matt forwarded it to the board clerk. Due to COVID, there were a lot of things that happened in my life personally. I was very sick. So anybody who thinks that COVID is some sort of joke or not real, or that somebody's trying to invent vaccine just so that they can implant some sort of tracking device in your arm is ridiculous. Anyway, I've been spending more time with my mom, and she spends part of the year in Florida. So due to this, I regret that I have to submit my resignation from the Board of Education effective November 4th. It's been my pleasure to work as a part of the Board of Education. It's been something that I've enjoyed. I grew up in Queens in a school district that I never felt a part of. And this school district has meant so much to me, more so than anything, because both of my kids have gone through school in this school district, and the teachers, the staff, the administration has done so much for my kids and my family that I felt it was so important to give back. So this school district will always mean something to me. So the other people who I've worked with on this school district, I have fought with people, Nat, but I'm not mentioning names, but I truly respect every single member of the board that I have worked with. I have heard their points of view and they have made sense. I am sure that I have angered people, but I've heard every single person. And just remember, I mean, it doesn't bother me when you say things to me, but when you attack other board members, remember other people are volunteers and we want good people to be here. So just remember when you attack people, they're doing this because they care. So we want good people here. Don't attack people. Just let them come in. And I suggest that when I leave, that you get another woman to come in because you want a woman's perspective. You want somebody with a female perspective. So that's my input, whatever it's worth. But I've enjoyed my stay here, and thank you.
Well, thank you for your comments. And as I said earlier, I know, when you sent the email, that I'm sure this was not an easy decision to make, but family has to come first. And that goes for any aspect of life. So, you have to do what's right for you. And I'm sure everybody here, myself included, respects that decision that you have to make. And, as much as we may have, have had an argument here and there on occasion, one thing I'll say, Melissa, is that you have the ability, and I appreciate this, to accept that when that exchange is over, life goes on, and there's no grudge, and that happens in life. And it's important, people aren't always going to agree, and people aren't always going to get along in the heat of the moment, but the ability to move on from that and put it in the rear view is a really special quality. So I want to say that, and thank you for the time that you have put in.
Thanks, Matt.
Are any other board member comments?
Yeah, I got some things I want to say. First, I'd like to thank the two young ladies that came on for the student report for giving us a wonderful report twice. It was very good, and thank you. I also want to acknowledge our girls tennis team. They're off to a very good start. They're 2-0. They beat Clarkstown North the other day, I believe, and I just want to say great job, girls. Keep it up. I wanted to thank Jenny and Scott for their presentation today. They did a great job. They won the award. It's fabulous. And I also want to encourage people that are watching tonight to follow Suffern on all those social media outlets. It's very important. She told us about the sports live stream now that we have over 1,000 members. So people getting involved is very, very important. And it's a nice way to check out what's going on in your school district. Thank you to Donna Lee for the audit information. It was fabulous. And I also wanted to say thank you to Mr. Scott Kaplan for inviting me to the virtual Cambridge, and I'm going to check that out when it comes up. That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have two things. First, I just want to express condolences and sympathies and prayers to Ryan O'Donnell's family. It was a shock to the community as a whole, and I just want to let them know that we support them and are with them, and our prayers are with them. Secondly, in lieu of the board week, I do want to commend my fellow board members as well and thank them for all of their help and all of their time and all of their efforts. And I want to thank Melissa for her service too. And I think her point is well made that, especially in this day and age, we can disagree on a lot of different things, but we need to be respectful. We need to come together at the end of the day and work to a common good. And I think, as a board, I think we generally are committed to that and really see that as the way forward and the way to help people. So again, thank you, Melissa, and thanks to everyone on the board.
Okay, thank you. Anybody up there have any comments?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that, Melissa, you're going to be here at the next meeting? Good, because then I'll save my comments till then, because I know within the next 2 weeks I'll have so much more material.
I'm good. So, all right, I'm going to make my comments now. And first thing I'm going to say is let's all keep in mind that the next meeting will be November 3rd, which is election day. And I'm not going to make this a political statement whatsoever. I promise. All I'm going to say is, number one, vote. Just go out and vote. Exercise your right to vote. Number two, I hope I speak for the rest of the board when I say that we'll, maybe try to have a more streamlined, maybe lighter agenda meeting that night, because, I don't know what polling places are going to look like, and nobody, whether it's a board member, administrator, or a member of the public, should feel like they have a conflict between, attending a meeting and going out to vote. So just want to keep that in the back of everybody's mind. So Paul, don't think too hard about those comments. Now you're muted. That's not going to work.
Okay, Matt, I'm sorry. I wasn't paying any attention to anything that you said.
Okay, should I say it again?
Yes.
No. But in summation,
yes.
Please make your comments brief at the next meeting.
No, it's volumes. In fact, we should probably start the regular meeting at 6. Okay?
Remember, board member comments is you get 3 minutes.
Wait a minute. I'm not going in front of the podium.
That's okay. No. I believe our policy says 3 minutes for board member comments.
All right. I will put it on speed dial, and I will make sure to be quick.
Okay.
You can FaceTime me.
Right. You know what? I will send it to you ahead of time, and you can approve all of the parts that I can say.
Yeah. You start ahead of time, and we'll find Heather reading it.
Well, you know what? Maybe I can make a video and just have a presentation.
Montage? Okay, those were my comments. Don or Tommy, I don't know if you have anything, or if you're good to move forward.
I'm good.
Okay. Okay, so we'll close the board member comments section of the meeting. Public participation, this is public participation on non-action items. Heather, do you have anything? Nope. No, okay. And there's nobody here. So we'll close that portion and move to closing comments of the acting superintendent.
So I'm going to start by saying, usually the superintendent doesn't get surprised at the board meeting. But between Jenny's award and Melissa, what you've just shared, those are 2 surprises tonight. As I said earlier, about all the board members, I really respect and admire your commitment and your caring. And Melissa, you have absolutely been at the forefront of that. Never any question about your commitment and why you were here, and that you care deeply about our students. So thank you for that. I will miss you. All the best to you. And I totally understand the decision you made, recognize why it's a difficult decision. And I wish you all the best with your mom. Shifting gears a little bit, I want to mention that I think we're really fortunate here in Suffern that so far this year we haven't had to close yet or to quarantine. I think, knock on everything. I think that, it has a lot of reasons for it, and I'll include a nice dose of luck in there. We have been lucky, but I really think we have been consistent with our messaging. Our community has been tremendous. When we say, if you're sick or if your child's sick or someone in the home is sick, please keep your child home and let them join their class remotely. Folks are listening to that. We have had, as the communication went out last week, we have had some student positive cases, none of whom were in our buildings. Interestingly, the student positive cases we've had were either home because their parents kept them home because they suspected, or are among our fully remote students. So I thank our community for that, for working together. Several times I've included in communications, take care of yourselves so we can take care of each other. And, if we all keep doing that, we can have continue to have in-person experiences. Last Friday, the Rockland County Department of Health came out with a order clarifying some of the use of masks. I know the high school and the middle school put out a communication today related to that, and we'll have another one tomorrow clarifying it. The big news in the mask communication is that gaiters, the ones that look like turtlenecks, that you just pull up over your nose, those are no longer allowed anywhere in Rockland County. So you can't wear those in schools, you can't wear them in stores or restaurants or anything like that. So that applies to the whole county. I know there were some comments about what masks could be worn. I have a variety with me today. I have my middle school one, I have my Sloatsburg one, I have my Montebello one, which is a little bit different, but the important thing is that there are 2 pieces of fabric. So masks with 2 pieces of fabric, that's what we're looking for. This is a handmade one I have. Again, 2 pieces of fabric, so that's fine. And then we have just the paper one. Again, though, there's 2 pieces of fabric here, so all of those are good. Here's the keys. 2 pieces of fabric, cover the nose, cover the chin. And the reason that I think we're moving away from gaiters is it needs to be a little bit tighter around those areas. Dr. McPom, would that be accurate? Correct. Okay, so it's that gaiter kind of is a little too loosey-goosey. So I know in the way the Department of Health order was written, there were some other things listed, and I know there were a lot of parent questions. We'll try and clarify that maybe with some pictures tomorrow, but I thought I would take advantage of the time that I had today. I also wanted to talk about sports. So exciting. I had the opportunity to attend the boys' soccer senior game last week. That was really exciting, and later in the week, got to watch my daughter's field hockey game, which was an away game on live stream. So since there are no spectators for away games, that's the only way we can watch it. I want to thank Matt Jones and Seth Rahman, who have been really our go-to live stream people, that they have been putting in the time and the technical expertise to make our sports live stream possible. It's a wonderful way for grandparents, aunts, and uncles to watch our athletes participate. And then lastly, I do want to mention the Suffern Streams presentation. That'll be our next YouTube live stream. That is next Tuesday night at 7 p.m. And I will have the pleasure of meeting with 4 of our wonderful Suffern High School seniors, along with Mrs. Kern, our Director of Guidance. And basically it'll just be a conversation with these 4 students. There are 4 seniors that have really taken different paths through Suffern High School, and it's a really wonderful opportunity to showcase the wide variety of offerings we have for our students and how you really can, find the path that's right for you. So I am very much looking forward to them showcasing the diversity and breadth of opportunities at Suffern High School, and they're just awesome kids. So please join us. If you're busy on Tuesday night, you can always watch it later on YouTube. Thank you.
Thank you. Which mask is that on top?
Sloatsburg.
I like that one. That's a nice one, I like that. Okay. All that being said, it is 9.01, motion to adjourn. Move. Mr. McKenzie, so first. Second, Dr. Nick Bond. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Anybody want to stay? Okay, thank you very much. This meeting is adjourned.
Good night, everybody.
We will see you all in 2 weeks. Make sure to hit the polls early, and we'll see you then. Thanks, bye.
Night.
Good night, all.
Good night.